Okay, before we begin, I am sorry for the terrible audio quality, but I'm recording this on my busted old headphone microphone. And second of all, if you're going to hear weird noises, it's because my cat is currently on my lap and she's purring really loudly. Yeah. Welcome, Unkindled One, Pearl winner of Cinders. And you're probably like, Jaden, what the fuck happened to you? Like, you said you're going away, what the hell? And I'm like, yeah, but I also said I might use this channel for stupid stuff, so here we are, I guess. Don't get me wrong, my life has been pretty okay after all, but I'm not going to get into personal things right now. Recently, I had like this unstoppable thing, like unstoppable feel, like I wanted to create something and show it to people, so that's why we're here. I remember a long time ago when I think it was in 2020, I have made like a series that was explaining my OCs and my process of designing them. So today we're going to do that again, because recently I've designed an OC and I really enjoy his concept, I really enjoy his creation, so hell yeah, we're going to do it. Basically how this series worked is I was drawing an OC and I was basically talking about the design process, about why I'm designing them the way they are. So today we're doing that. Hell yeah. Alright, so subject of today's video is the OC that I created recently called Arson Wise. So I'm going to tell you the origin of why I created him. Recently I have played a lot of Hogwarts Legacy on my Switch that I got from my cousin because, you know, I have a big family, so we usually have a lot of hand-me-downs, and my cousin, who really likes gaming, gives me a lot of his video games. Recently he got me Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, so I'm gonna have to check this out. And I am going to be honest, I kinda hate the customization options that are in Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know why, but every single game where you can customize a character, I have the same problem. Like, when I'm creating a female character, they're the most beautiful thing that I have ever created. Absolute fucking princess. Queen, slay, 8, 10 out of 10. And when I'm creating a male character, that shit ain't it, chief. Like, they look fugly. So, I have decided to cope by drawing my characters separately, like, making their own like headcanon of how they look like. And at first I was like, okay, we're going to take this and we're going to take this and we're going to take this and oh this looks cool. And then they actually started morphing and, you know, having the life of their own. Like, people who create characters and OCs can definitely relate. Like, you make a character like with a certain mindset in your head, and then the character morphs and transforms and it just takes a life of their own. So yeah, that's kind of what happened to me. This character is basically started as like my player character, but then I actually created a whole ass fucking backstory for him, and it morphed into what if Snow White, but not really. Like, you can see the inspirations that I have laid in here. Like, there's Griffith, there's Kiryu Setsuna from Kengan Ashura, there's obviously Wise Schnee and Neige Blanche. So yeah, pretty much Snow White. I don't know, I at first wanted to create like, you know, like a pretty boy. Like, you know, you can see Griffith, Neige, and Kiryu Setsuna. Like, I know that Kiryu is like kinda like that mean like who invited blood, but listen, if you would watch Kengan Ashura, you would know that Setsuna is referred to as beautiful beast, and well, it's pretty much in the name. He is pretty and he is supposed to be like that pretty archetype. Griffith, I don't really need to explain myself. Like, every single person who has ever seen Griffith can tell that he's pretty. Like, at first when I designed this character, he was supposed to be like a fucking unbearable bitch, like, you know, like pretty boy, but he's actually an asshole and a horrible person. But then I remembered that I have like 3 other characters that are like that, and you know, when a person creates something, you can obviously tell what they like and what they don't by what they create. Like, you can clearly tell what the person likes to create. Like, obviously, if a person draws a lot of cats, you can easily tell that they like cats. I guess I just like pretty boys that are evil. Yeah. But then this character morphed, and as I said, I have way too many characters who are pretty but actually evil. So I decided to turn him into more like a tragic character, and it started off with, okay, what other characters are like praised for their beauty? And I instantly remembered Snow White. Snow White is supposed to be insanely beautiful. She is referred to, the prettiest one of them all. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the prettiest one of them all? And the mirror responds, Queen, girl, you're slaying. But Snow White exists, so eto blah. Yeah, and that's how I decided, hey, I might just inspire myself with Snow White. And yeah, that's when everything fell into place. So I started like designing this character, and I definitely knew that I have to give him long hair, like, long pretty hair. And I have noticed that I really like this hairstyle of like loose hair with like one small ponytail. I think it's called half up. I have, I think, 4 characters with this hairstyle, not counting my online Sona. I don't know, I just think this hairstyle is very pretty, it's very regal, and I debated whether I want this character to be, biblically accurate Snow White, which is how Snow White is described in the fairy tale, which is skin as white as snow, hair as white as night, and lips as red as blood. Or I could just make him an albino, because, skin as white as snow, and albinos are known for being very pale. So I asked a lot of my friends, like a lot of my artist friends and my boyfriend who's also an artist, and one of them said a thing that very much stuck out to me, which is, how about black hair with like pale blonde tips? And I was like, you know what? You're actually making like a very good argument right now. And I tested it out, and I was like, hey, I actually really like this. I kept him like that. You can also see that I shaded his lips a little bit, like, lips as red as blood. It's very hard to do that without the character looking like they have Colin Ballinger lipstick, but I think I managed. Like, I basically took a little bit of red from their eyes, and yeah, I gave them red eyes because they're supposed to refer to, reference the poison apple, which was described as bright red, almost ruby red, and also it's supposed to kind of substitute for lips as red as blood, so it's this Snow White has eyes as red as blood. I also gave him this little suit that I found in Hogwarts Legacy. I think it's one of these suits that have like one model, but you can find different colored versions throughout the whole game. I also gave this character a mole because I think that, Beauty Mark would elevate it to the next level. I actually didn't realize, but in the shading process, it kind of made him look like, these kind of caricatures of French nobles, like, way too big wigs, way too pale because way too much makeup, and they kind of look like clowns. However, I tried to avoid it, like I tried to fix it. I think he looks bad only from certain angles. I think I did good. Okay, now for the story of this character. As I said, at first he was just supposed to be like my stand-in for the main character of Hogwarts Legacy, but he then evolved and started living his own life. Like, you sometimes create a character and you're like, okay, so this character is going to be that, and that, but then you're like stepping back, you're looking at them and you think to yourself, hey, I wanted this character to be this and that, but I think this other thing fits this character better. And yeah, that's basically how Arsene evolves from player character to player character, but also a literal Snow White reference. Basically, the basis for this character was, of course, the original Snow White fairy tale, but also Ruby, and the character of Weiss-Schnee, which also references Snow White. Snow White in the original fairy tale is this beautiful maiden who's locked up in the castle. Like, she's not locked up, but she's kind of being forced to stay in it. Who's known for 2 things, her kindness and her beauty. Like, she is very kind to people, she has a pure heart, she's a very nice woman. And she's also a beautiful lady. Like, as I said, the mirror says that she is the most beautiful in all the land, and that's why Evil Queen wants to get rid of her. And this character is supposed to reference that. However, in not only is he beautiful, I swapped his kindness for knowledge. Like, he is supposed to be, like, you know, very smart academically. He is, you know, a scholar. He really likes to study, and I know that all that things are kind of sound like he would be a Ravenclaw. However, as you can see from his uniform, he's not a Ravenclaw, he's a Slytherin. And to that I explain, Slytherin and Ravenclaw are two houses that are very, very similar. Let's be honest, like, one values creativity and academics, while the other one values ambition and cunning. And Wise, contrary to what he might seem, he is a very cunning person. He is very cunning, very ambitious, however, not cunning like, oh, I'm going to ruin your whole fucking career in 3 easy steps, here's the tutorial. He is cunning like he had a very bad upbringing. So his mom is basically the representation of the evil queen, and she's very overbearing, she's very controlling. She runs her own, like, potions and poisons business, like, kind of like, you know, like Fred and George had that trick shop. Like, she has her own potion shop, and she's very much well known for her talents, for her artisanship, for the things she does. And like all overbearing mothers, like, you know, like those mothers who are like projecting their wishes onto their kid because they couldn't fulfill them, she protects her ambitions onto her son. She's like, I don't care that you like taking care of centaurs, you're going to be a poisoner, you're going to be an alchemist, because that's what I want, because that's what you are supposed to be, you're my son, I have total control over you. And you know, when you're a kid, like, you're told to obey every single adult in your life. Arsene did that, and he grew up to be like a prodigy in potion craft. And not only that, by the age of 15, he created his own spell, Vitrum, which turns any object it's cast on into glass. Yes, that's also a reference to Snow White and the glass coffin. In the original Snow White, there is also a point in which the Snow White needs to run away because the evil queen wants to kill her. However, in this version of the fairy tale, the evil queen doesn't really want to kill Snow White. Not yet! She just wants total control over her. However, there is always the first person that shows a little bit of compassion toward the princess, and in the fairy tale, it's the huntsman, because let's be honest, the huntsman was ordered to kill Snow White, however, he didn't. In most of the fairy tale retellings of Snow White, Huntsman doesn't kill the princess, he tells her to run away. It's not his fault that he told her to run away into woods. Like, he's a huntsman, he knows the woods. He knows the woods is safe. However, a young girl who just left the castle for the first time in her whole fucking life doesn't. That's why she got lost. And Huntsman lies to Evil Queen that, oh yeah, I totally killed her, see? This is her heart. It's totally not the heart of the rabbit. And Evil Queen believes him. And when she learns that Snow White is still alive, she executes the huntsman. So there I say, the huntsman is the first person that shows Snow White a bit of compassion. And in this universe, Arsene's huntsman is his father. He cannot bear the fact that his wife is controlling their son at every step of the way, tells him what to be, tells him how to be, tells him how he should behave. And he thinks to himself, okay, I need to do something because I cannot have my son be looked up for the entirety of his life. My son needs to get out, my son needs to do things, my son needs to be something. And that's why Arsene went to Hogwarts 5 years later. It's because his mom was keeping him hostage in their house, basically homeschooling him, and his dad was the one that signed him up into Hogwarts in secret. That basically means the evil queen control over his son wavers, which she's afraid about, because we all know how narcissists are. Like, you tell them something that they don't agree with and they go ballistic. Arsene's mother is very much the same way. You tell her, I don't really think that what you're talking about is a good idea, and she goes fucking ballistic. So she decides to poison Snow White, obviously. And you might be saying, oh, okay, so Arsene is going to be saved with true love's kiss. He's going to be okay, right? Right, because that's what happens in the original Snow White. So who is the stand-in for the Prince Charming? Is it Sebastian Sallow? Is it Ominous? Who is supposed to be Prince Charming in Wise's story? He doesn't have a Prince Charming. He is going to die from his mother's hand because she couldn't bear losing the grip on her son. And you might be asking, Jaden, but why? Number one, because I'm depressed and I love angst and I love torturing myself. And number two, I remembered watching this one video from Judgmental Critter, I think, about the fairy tale allusions in Ruby. And when she was talking about the Cinder Falls allusion, she was speculating who the fairy godmother would be. And that's when she said something very interesting. that Cinder's story is Cinderella, but what if she didn't have fairy godmother? What if she was left completely alone, completely to herself? And I was like, damn, that's interesting. So I decided to do something similar with Arsene, and Arsene's story is basically Snow White, but what if the Prince Charming wouldn't exist? Snow White is left to her own devices. Snow White needs to learn how to deal with the stuff herself. Snow White can rely only on herself and nobody else. Okay, let's go back to design for a little bit. Okay, so this is what a complete version of Arsene, like here's the reference, here's the silly little gift that I made that I have been working on for the past fucking month. You might already seen my post of this on my social medias, like links in the description, but yeah, this draft has been sitting on my computer for past month. Today is 17th of April 2026, and I don't know when this video will go live. I recently have decided that I need to branch out on the hobbies because, you know, you can't just go to college, sit, learn. Even though I kind of have to do that, I gotta look in. Like history is not really an easy major. Like I have a lot to learn, I have a lot to read, but you know, I cannot just stay home and learn. And because my friends are either online or live pretty far away from me, I kind of need that outlet. I kind of need to talk to someone. So I'm talking to you, even though it's kind of pathetic and I'm just talking to like my Audacity program and to my cat. Yeah, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. I really like the way Arsene turned out. I also am very much surprised with the positive reception that he got, especially on Tumblr. Like people on Tumblr are hit and miss, but when they hit very hard. Like our community is usually very nice on that place. I know that posting art on social media right now can be very hard, considering the rise of AI. I almost puked in my mouth. Considering the rise of AI and that social media and algorithm favors short-form content over long-form content. But you know what? I think that place for long-form content will always be present. Like, let's be honest, we all need that, that background noise when you're cleaning or washing the dishes or drawing. Like, I see what you're doing there. Yeah, you work on that drawing. But also remember to hydrate yourself. Thank you for watching, thank you for coming to my channel, and thank you for listening to my autistic ramblings about the silly little character that I made. And remember, this spot marks our grave, but you may rest here too, if you'd like.